Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Wednesday, the 26th of January. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Joshua Barrie, who appears to be frozen just there. Joshua, are you there, buddy?
I'm there, Derek. Don't worry. That's why I was, just before we went live, I was saying to Derek, just give me a second, Derek. Let me get onto my good Wi-Fi. Now I'm on, so I can hear you as opposed to cutting out as before.
Fantastic stuff. Excellent. Okay, folks, before we look ahead to the news, the big news yesterday, and of course looking ahead to the game this evening, just a bit of housekeeping. If you've not already subscribed to us, if you're watching us in YouTube, then please do. You'll never miss a video when we go live. And also that fantastic January offer we've got on the website just now runs out at the end of the month. It's absolutely free. For the first month, just head over to the rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe. Just £2.99 per month thereafter. It's an absolute bargain, so do go check it out. Okay, Joshua, there's only one thing to start with, and that was yesterday's bombshell news that Ianis Hagi, who limped off in Friday night's victory over Stirling Albion, is out for the season with a knee injury. He had an operation down in London. He's going to be out for several months. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst says it's a big blow. What's your reaction to what is a big blow? I guess there's no two ways about it.
Yeah, and obviously numbers-wise, Hagi hasn't really he hasn't done it this season. I think he scored 2 or 3 goals. Derek obviously scored the first goal of the season. His underlying numbers, as we've spoken about a few times, haven't been as good as last season either. But you know, he's still one of Rangers' most important attacking players. I think even when a player is having a bad season, you always have that. There's always a possibility that they come back and have a really good second half of the season. And obviously, to see anyone lose, you know, Hagi's just turned 23 this season. It's a bad time for him to have an ACL. So, just echo everyone's well wishes and hopefully he'll be able to rejoin the squad as soon as possible and be able to use the recovery for some sort of good. Although it must be really frustrating having last season, you know, Hagi's first few years of his career, I guess, were always trying to find that settled place-to-place football. And last season, it looked like within Gerrard's system, you know, his numbers are pretty good. Derek, he had, I think it was the highest expected assists in the team. He seemed to be well suited to playing as one of the 210s. And this season it's taken a little bit more adaptation, but then obviously he's had this injury. So yeah, just echo everyone's well wishes and hopefully he can be back as soon as possible.
Yeah, on that, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was asked if his injury will have any bearing on the transfer business up until the end of the window. And he did say they're looking to add a player to the squad, but it needs to be a player we think is right. You don't want to get players in just to make up the numbers. You want to make sure the balance in the team is good. So it appears that this may have, I think Rangers were already looking for a creative player, Joshua, but certainly this injury will have speeded that up. And I'd imagine that Rangers will be doing all they can to bring in some form of replacement.
Yeah, well, we've said a few times, there's been a few comments that have definitely said, you know, Rangers do need a long-term solution on the right, but there might be enough to kind of get them through this season with the rotational options between Hagi, Sakala, right? Gives you different options for different games, and I think that argument is kind of rendered useless because although Hagi didn't play his best football on the right, the fact that Van Bronckhorst started with him a few times there shows that he was trying to do. It also gives the option of playing Tavernier or wider if you want to, and having a left footer on the right. And now Rangers don't have that at all unless you were to play Kent. And I know Kent's 2-footed, but he always needs to be more comfortable on the left, cutting in on his right. So yeah, certainly will only speed up the process. I'd imagine that Rangers, as we've discussed, anyway, we're already looking to reinvest part of that £16 million into a right winger and someone that can do what Kent does, but on the opposite wing and do it against any number of different opponents. So yeah, definitely. And also as well, Derek, you know, Hagi was first and foremost really a central player, although not necessarily in that system. Might require a little bit more depth at number 8 as well.
Yeah, absolutely. David Ferguson gets in touch, just wanting some clarification on Ianis Hagi. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst said yesterday that he had a knee operation, so he had to have reconstruction. So we won't see him this season. Hopefully, after the break, we'll welcome him back. But it's a serious injury, so it's bad news. Certainly, isn't everyone here at the Rangers Review wishes Ianis the best in his recovery. I noticed he posted a message on his social media account yesterday. So it was good to see, and hopefully, as Van Bronckhorst said, he's in a good place mentally to try and get back in amongst the squad as soon as possible. But there's no doubt about it. I know that some of the comments coming in suggest, Joshua, that, and even you suggest that he hasn't had it the best of seasons. There's no doubt about it, but he's such a big player. He's such a big option for Rangers to have in terms of creativity. And looking ahead to this evening, where's the creativity going to come from? Ryan Kent, of course, missing. Alfredo Morelos is out. And Joe Aribo flew back from Nigeria last night. We're led to believe he touched down in Glasgow last night, and he was to be assessed whether he will feature tonight. Can you see him with Hagi going out, maybe featuring this evening? He's certainly going to play at the weekend, but does tonight come too soon?
I was thinking about this, and obviously, given you forget, because Aribo's been away, you kind of just think he's because he's not been playing the games for Rangers, you think he'll be ready to go back in. But obviously, he's been playing. He's played 3-4 games for Nigeria, just flown back. So maybe they will try and keep him fresh for the weekend. I think it's just on Hagi as well. You do forget he scored I think it was 3, maybe 2 match-winning goals last season at Ibrox. The 1-0 against Hibs and St Johnstone are the 2 that spring to mind. So he did. I seen a comment a second ago about moments, and he did provide moments. You look back to the start of the season when Steven Gerrard was talking up Hagi quite considerably. He had that game, obviously the opening game of the season where he got crocked, and he had the game against Alishkert as well, where Rangers were down to 10 men, where he had a really kind of, it was a leadership performance in a way, because Rangers needed players to step up, and then he had COVID, and he was, so it seems to be just obstacle after obstacle this year for Hagi. But hopefully, as you say, he can come back better. Use this time in whatever way he can to make himself a better footballer. I know there's certainly always been a lot of noise around Hagi that he's really intent on working with the analysts and making himself better. From that point of view, in terms of where the creativity comes, I think tonight you'll see, if Aribo doesn't start, I think you might see Bacuna start again. Maybe, I don't think it's inconceivable that Lowry starts, but I think it's unlikely. And then probably Wright and Sakala out wide, and Kemar Roof through the middle as well. I think that's quite likely. Yeah,
some comments on Alex Lowry. I wanted to pick up on that. Colin Cameron gets in touch. Morning, lads. From that might be Spain, perhaps. The emoji's not came up. Shame about Hagi's injury. Should we offer Alex Lowry a first-team contract? And I think he's old enough to get in the squad. Look at, for example, Durante, Barry Ferguson, etc. He was asked about this, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, yesterday, and he gave quite an encouraging answer with regards to Alex Lowry, saying that he is training with the first-team squad. He is in the squad, of course. He trains with them quite regularly. And pardon me, and it's all about improving each day for him, improving his development. And he says that the coaching staff are pretty much all in as well, Joshua, with making sure that he reaches the very top of his game. Would you like to see? I think discussions that are taking place with regards to offering a new deal. But I guess, would you like to see more of him? And could we see perhaps him feature tonight at some point?
I think because you've got 5 subs, it's quite likely, or certainly a possibility, isn't it? Lowry, I think, looks to, like, from the one game we've seen him in the first team, that you'd really suit playing in that possession dominant Rangers team where he can get a lot of the ball. His off ball work, to me, what I quite liked about him, Derek, and obviously this is something he'll have to develop, but quite often I think when you see players come in to impress, they'll chase everything, and loose balls. If they lose a ball, they'll do everything they can to win it back. But he was quite kind of nonchalant in the way he went about his business, almost as if he played. He was one of the first team regulars. But I think you need that a bit when you're a creative player at Rangers. You need to have that and the ability to handle criticism and not let it affect your game, and kind of trust in your abilities to that degree. So I think, again, Hagi's injury opens up even more space in that number 8 area. That's where Hagi obviously started at central against Stirling Albion on Friday. So I think we perhaps could see that. You'll maybe see Kamara move up a line with either Sands or Lundstram behind them. I think it could quite likely to see Lundstram play tonight, which I know will not suit everyone, but I thought he did as well as he could against Stirling Albion. And then also you've got to remember, and we've got a piece on the site about this today, so this fits in nicely to what I'm saying, is that with James Tavernier coming inside increasingly, he's going to be able to create centrally. And if you've got, say tonight, Scott Wright going outside of him and Tavernier sitting in that same line as Glenn Kamara, he's produced a lot of moments from there this season already. Think of his goals at St Johnstone, Motherwell, the cross that would assist, or didn't assist, but led to Fashion Sakala getting the penalty in the 2-2 draw with Aberdeen at home. I think you'll see the benefits of that, as well as obviously it opens up the kind of 1v1 opportunities on the right. So there is answers, and I think Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's flexibility will help find those.
Yeah, a few comments coming in from people wanting updates on the Danish winger, Skov Olsen, of course, the Bologna player. From what I'm led to believe, Joshua, Club Brugge still in the driving seat for him. There was murmurings I seen on social media last night that Rangers had matched Club Brugge's offer. That's not been confirmed either way. Of course, Rangers keep a lot of their transfer activity in-house, don't reveal much, but apparently I think Club Brugge are still leading the way with regards to that, but it's quite evident Rangers will be looking to bring someone in. I know it's just there's a comment I just popped up there a few moments ago suggesting even a short-term loan signing just to cover until the end of the season. But it'll be interesting to see what Rangers do. Of course, 5 days to go until the end of the transfer window.
Gosh, that's not long there. I didn't realise it was only 5.
It's not long at all. Can you see any? I think we've touched on this before, but a lot of comments about possible players heading out the door. Jermaine Defoe, of course, had his contract terminated. Nathan Patterson is left for Everton, of course. There's a few fringe players there that Rangers may want to get off the wage bill, perhaps. Can you see some activity before the end of the window?
It's hard because you look at the likes of Simpson and Barker, and I guess Simpson maybe in the summer was a little bit more the first team picture, but I think it's probably hard to move players on when they're on decent money and might not be able to get that money elsewhere. I don't know. I don't know, but equally Simpson and Barker might want to go and play first team football. It was certainly interesting that they started on Friday. Seems to suggest that they're not kind of completely out in the cold with Derek, but who knows? I guess that I don't know how much. I don't think it will be too much of a players need to go out for players to come in. I think Patterson's not necessarily the wages, but the transfer fee that he's brought in covers that regardless. The priority has to be, I think, that will Rangers come out as strong as they went in, and although Nathan Patterson wasn't playing, and he was behind James Tavernier in the pecking order, you've still sold a player's £16 million worth of talent. And although I don't think the expectation is at all from Rangers Sports is that Rangers would go and spend £16 million on a winger, I think there is an expectation that they would address an area that needs addressed. And for me, the right, it's not as if the right wing, I know people will say the right wing's not being addressed in 4 windows, but Rangers didn't play with the right winger until about 20 minutes ago. So, Hagi, and that's where Hagi and Roof last season, a lot of his minutes came from there. A lot of Hagi's minutes came from there. They both had really high goal scoring and involvement numbers in terms of goals and assists. So I think that's just important to note. And if Rangers can get a right-sided winger who offers that threat that Kent does, maybe even a little bit more depth at number 8, I think that probably is. You've seen at Aberdeen without Aribo and Arfield how kind of scarce they looked offensively in the middle. That has to be the priority, and I think then you'd come out the window stronger than you went into it, and that surely always has to be the priority at a football club.
No, yeah, most definitely. Looking ahead to tonight then, Joshua, Rangers back at Ibrox to take on Livingston in the Premiership. It's one of those games where you're fully expecting Rangers to take home all 3 points. I think Livingston, quite rightly, will try and do all they can to emerge with anything from Ibrox. So expect a low block, folks, in defending for their lives. What sort of game are you expecting tonight, Joshua?
Yeah, I mean, well, teams obviously. I think the common denominator between teams that come to Ibrox is they'll be willing to give up possession. But Livingston, I cast my mind back to that earlier today. The first game of the season, I think it was the cup game. They didn't have a shot at all, and they were very, very deep. But the first game of the season, they did try to disrupt Rangers a bit higher up the pitch. If memory serves me correctly, they kind of tried to man mark Kamara and Davies a bit to stop the distribution that worked quite well. So David Martindale, I think, is definitely one of the more tactically astute managers in the division. He'll have watched a lot of Rangers. He had done so for the time that Livingston played Rangers back in what was that, November, early December, late November. And that on that day, Livingston were still adapting in game by the time they worked out who was marking who, and Scott Arfield could run completely unopposed and into the penalty box and score. So yeah, I do anticipate that they'll obviously defend, but I don't think it will just be. I don't think it will be like the St Mirren performance on Boxing Day. I think it will be a little bit. They'll make Rangers work for that positional dominance a little bit more. But yeah, expecting a good game. Rangers have looked good. Really good at Ibrox under Van Bronckhorst, I think, apart from Dundee United game. And as ever, the tempo's really important. And hopefully, you've got I know Morelos and Kent aren't there, but for me, if you've got a front three of, it has to be Roof for me, I think. I know it might start, but for me, it has to be Roof with Sakala and Wright. Definitely enough to go and beat Livingston if you've got Sakala isolated out wide, right on the other flank. And then you need some runners from the middle, so maybe that does mean that Aribo has to start. I could see Bakuna playing as well, and that'll be a big opportunity for him. Tavernier coming in fields. So yeah, it's plenty of creative threats. I'll go 2-0 there. I'll go 3-1 tonight.
Yeah. Rangers going to concede, are they? Not going to keep the 0?
I just think it has to happen at one stage. And if you look at their underlying numbers, they've overperformed. Pardon me. Their XG conceded. So I would just so I'm not copying anyone as well there.
Well, I'm sure everyone will be looking forward to the game, especially James Strachan, who's going to be getting up at 6:45 to watch the game tomorrow morning. It blows my mind, folk, that the lengths they go to watch Rangers. What a cracking start to the day. Waking up on a Thursday morning, and the first thing you do is stick the telly on and watch Rangers, Joshua. It's nothing beats that, I think. And I mean, I just wanted to finish up, of course. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst mentioned yesterday, the good news, of course, is that Ryan Jack and Scott Arfield are back in contention, which is good news. I think everyone is pleased to see that Ryan Jack especially is back in the squad, and fingers crossed he can get a run of games now.
Yeah, I feel like we've been here before a few times, and you just want to give him the luxury of almost a few months of grace time to just check that he is kind of okay. But there's been precaution after precaution, and if you could get Ryan Jack back in there, it would be a big boost. I think he is. I think he's kind of got the, again, to go back to that Dundee United game, Derek, Rangers struggled to progress the ball because when they couldn't find Glenn Kamara. And I think Jack, within this system, how it would work with the certain components, I don't know so far, but I do think he's someone that is an intelligent player and can help get the ball at the pitch. Could give that versatility in the middle and a little bit more depth in the middle. So it'd be great to have him back. And these things must boost the dressing room as well, because it seems a long time ago now, but 2019, it was Morelos' season, but it was also Ryan Jack's season for a lot of it. He was absolutely fantastic in that campaign. So hopefully he can get back to some form of 2019 form as Morelos has under Van Bronckhorst.
Yeah, absolutely. Fingers crossed that is the case. Okay, folks, that'll do us there. Thanks to everyone, as ever, for interacting with the show. It really is much appreciated. If you're watching us on YouTube, just hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss a video when we go live. And also, that fantastic January offer is still on. It's absolutely free to subscribe to the Rangers Review for the first month. Just head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe to support top quality journalism covering the club you love. Okay, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and the game this evening, and we'll be back again to review all the action